what about this? Peace, folk, and welcome back to another edition of the Proper the Thought series right here on the old T.P.O.T YouTube page. This is going to be kind of a quick one because I've been watching these court shows on YouTube lately, getting away from the humdrum of the usual Negro conversations. And I watch this stuff quite often, and this one struck me as odd. Those of you who follow the Proper the Thought series, y'all know that, I've shown you quite a few of these things, but this one kind of stuck out because here we have a criminal court where we have people having to have their lives managed by the criminal justice system. And I find that quite odd that we as grown ass adult human beings have to rely on the criminal justice system to manage our lives. I'm going to show you two stories. I'm going to show you a story about a brother and a woman who had some type of dispute, how their lives had to be managed temporarily by the criminal justice system. And then I'm going to show you an old mama, of course, because it wouldn't be T.P.O.T without an old mama, right? Where she has to have her life managed by the criminal justice system and ultimately the children's lives as well. So I hope y'all enjoy it. Let's get at it. Okay. We start here. This is in Fulton County, in Georgia, I believe, in the Atlanta area. And as you can see, we're beginning with the brother. All right. And some of this stuff you hear, man, is gonna be, I don't know. I'm just gonna let it play, and I'll stop, in between, here and there. But fair use, Negroes.
And then spoke with the defendant, who stated that he received a text from the victim, Miss Ruby Habte. Again, that is spelled Habte. She asked him to come over. Once he arrived, they were laying in bed. She was on top of him, and according to him, she was upset with him, having to do with him not being aroused during the interaction. He said that she began calling him names. He decided to get up, put his clothes on, and leave.
Now, I wasn't sure when I first saw this, when I first started watching this, I wasn't sure if the girl in the middle, if the woman in the middle, on the bottom row in the middle, I wasn't sure if she was someone who was just, kind of in support of him, maybe his girlfriend or something. But as it started to go on further, her body language, her facial expressions, I kind of figured out pretty quick that, she was the quote unquote complaining witness, if you will. The lady to your left, the bottom left-hand corner, this is the Assistant Solicitor General. I've seen plenty of court proceedings with her in it. I have no idea why the Solicitor General's office doesn't have a better camera. I mean, the jailhouse has a better camera than the Solicitor General. The judge has a better camera than the Solicitor General. And so does the girl in the middle with the iPhone. And this particular Solicitor General camera always looks like this. You would think, it's the Solicitor General's office. They would at least be able to have a better camera and a better green screen setup. But for some reason, it looks like this. Now, y'all heard the story, right? The Solicitor General laid it out, said that, he it was a problem because he couldn't get aroused being with this woman or whatever the case may be. So it turned into something. But we continue. Fair use, Negroes, fair use.
Putting his clothes on. She continued to call him names and figure out why. She was trying to figure out why he was leaving and asking where he was going. He said he was going home. And he said that he never touched her, that if there were any markings on her, that she had done it to herself. Then the officer went and spoke to Ms. Habte, who said that the defendant came over. They were laying in bed talking about personal issues. He became very upset, irate. She asked what his problem was, why he was acting like a weirdo, and asked him why he was getting dressed and leaving, and said that he became more irate, started yelling, and then he got on top of her, choked her from behind, and threatened to kill her, and also said that if she got involved with any other men, that he was going to kill them as well. The officer did observe scratch marks on the victim's neck. Our office spoke with the victim, Ms. Habte, and she said that they've only known each other for about a month. They were dating.
Now, they've only known each other for about a month. They were, dating or whatever. And, he was at the crib. Something happened. He got up, left. That much we kind of know, right? All the other stuff that they mentioned, is kind of irrelevant to the main point. Because the point is he obviously allegedly did something to her, right? That's the main point here. But we continue.
Getting to know each other, and that he got upset when she was asking him questions, and that he came up behind her and attacked her and began to choke her while she was face down on the bed, and said that the pressure, she lost, her airways were constricted fairly severely. And so, Your Honor, based on that, the state is requesting a $5,000 surety bond, $2,500 on each count, no further contact, a stay away from that incident location, and a 1-day anger awareness course. Nothing further.
Okay. Counsel?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Now, the brother, he's in there with a lawyer. Now, usually when you see these cases where they're like, in the lockup, the people don't really have a lawyer. It's usually some public defender or somebody who's on another screen, but this brother's actually in there with his attorney.
Mr. Miller is 40 years old, Your Honor. He is a veteran. He spent 4 years in the Navy. At this point, he is contesting the report in regards to previous convictions. He acknowledges he does have prior arrests. However, he indicates at this time he has no convictions that should be on his record. I'm not certain if there is a need to confirm that information that was previously reported, but my client is vehemently protesting that he does not have any conviction. Furthermore, Your Honor, my client has been a resident of Atlanta, Georgia now for approximately 10 years. He does reside at 361 Simpson Terrace, Northwest in Atlanta, Georgia, where the zip code is 30314. Your Honor, he does have one male child who is 4 years old. He shares co-parenting responsibilities with his ex-wife. He does participate on a daily basis in the caretaking and the financial responsibility for the child. He is the proprietor of a local restaurant here in New Orleans, Daiquiri Bar and Grill, located here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Now, this brother runs a restaurant or owns a restaurant. Now, I don't know what the deal is with the woman here, but this is obviously a brother of some degree of means. You can see that because he's in there with his attorney. He doesn't have to be represented by the public defender, and his attorney isn't even on Zoom. His attorney is there. So this is probably a brother of means, right? But we continue.
He does have the responsibility for all of the management as well as payroll duties, Your Honor. He does have significant ties to this community. He does not pose a flight risk. I think it should be noted that even within the report given by the complaining witness, my client was trying to leave the address. We definitely deny the allegations in regards to any report that he put his hands around her neck and choked her or made any sort of terroristic threat. I believe what's consistent in the report from my client as well as the complaining witness is that my client was attempting to leave the address. Outside, my client was waiting on an Uber. when he became informed by the complaining witness that she had called the police, he in fact waited until the police arrived. He engaged voluntarily with the police officer to explain exactly what occurred. I definitely believe that this shows that Mr. Miller has the respect for this process as well as the legal system. He will return to court as instructed. He is not a flight risk. As I previously explained, he does maintain a residence here, which he has maintained for 10 years, and he does have significant ties to the community. He will welcome a no contact order as well as a stay away provision. In fact, we would ask that it be a mutual no contact order and stay away provision in regards to the complaining witness. As it is reported, this is a fairly new acquaintance between Mr. Miller as well as the complaining witness. This is not a domestic incident. There is no concern that Mr. Miller needs to maintain any sort of contact with this complaining witness. And at this time, we do vehemently deny any and all allegations in regards to the terroristic threat, as well as the allegation that he placed his hands around her neck. At this point, Your Honor, Mr. Miller has secured private counsel and again will report to the court as instructed. Based on all of the factors given, Your Honor, we would request that the court consider an unsecured judicial release, which will allow Mr. Miller to return to the care of his family as well as to the operation of his business. Again, Mr. Miller does not pose any threat to coerce, intimidate, or further contact this particular witness, as it was a fleeting acquaintance. And I do believe it's of note to importance to report that this complaining witness invited Mr. Miller over to her home for the purpose of a consensual encounter.
Now, y'all heard all of that, right? You know, the lawyer kind of went on, quite a bit. I think he did a pretty good job. Who do y'all believe, though? Do you believe the account laid out by the Solicitor General, or do you believe the account laid out by the brother's attorney? Now, we often say there's three sides to every story. My side, your side, and in the middle lies the truth, right? Now, of course, it's true that he was there. It's true that something happened. It's also true that the brother ended up arrested. Now, he may or may not have been arrested if he was at his house. She might have ended up arrested. All right. Now, her claim, according to the Solicitor General, is that, they were in there, they were, about to get into it. Something went on between the beginning and the end of that. He gets up, he tries to leave. The Solicitor General says that this lady told him that she was asking him questions. He got mad at her asking him questions, so he just started choking her. That sounds a little obscure and a little vague. Now, his attorney says that the brother, he had left the house. He was getting ready to, get an Uber to leave. He found out that she had called the police. So he stayed and waited for them. Right? Obviously he did, I guess, encounter the police, voluntarily, because he is in the lockup right now. So I guess we can say that that's true, right? Because if it wasn't, the Solicitor General would have been like, well, they had to go find him and they went to his house. But no, she said they arrested him right then and there. And there was no reports of him fighting the police or running or anything like that, because trust me, the Solicitor General would have mentioned it. Myself, I'm biased. I'm more inclined to believe the brother's account as opposed to, some embellished account that some broad said. And of course, the Solicitor General is always going to embellish the story any damn way because they want to keep your ass in jail and all this sort kind of foolishness. But beyond that, like I told y'all in the beginning, this is an example of the judicial system having to step in and manage adults' lives. Now, I don't know what happened when he was with this woman. I don't know what she said to him. I don't know what he said to her. I do not know. According to the Solicitor General, they've only known each other like a month. So they basically don't really know each other. Let's go there. 30 days ain't long enough to know nobody. All right. So they don't really know each other. So it probably was just, some type of fling or, something very, very slight and small. Right. They're not considering it a domestic incident because the Solicitor General didn't mention that. And the brother's lawyer is saying the same thing. But the problem is this. If two adults can't come together consensually and part applicably, and the police have to get involved, and the court has to get involved, and we got this Zoom court proceeding trying to sort this out, and there's going to be more to this down the road, right? Because this is just an arraignment. This is the beginning of a process. So he could be going back and forth to court for this for months, years, even, depending, how things shake out. Now, I gotta give the broad credit, because usually when I'm watching these things, being that she's the complaining witness, they usually will let them get on here and speak and say something. Despite all the head movement and shaking of the head and crazy looks and all that kind of stuff, she was relatively composed compared to some of the people that I've seen. She was relatively composed. She didn't jump in, blurt nothing out, start yelling and screaming and, showing her ass. She didn't do that. She actually didn't say anything throughout the whole process. I'm assuming that they wanted her there because she was the complaining witness. Maybe, just maybe, after she listened to the Solicitor General and listened to the brother's attorney, maybe she just, was speechless. I don't know. But she was relatively calm. Calmer than I've seen most of these broads when they come up here. So I have to admit that. You have to call a duck a duck. But we continue.
Okay. Thank you, counsel. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this matter?
Now, usually they would let the complaining witness speak, and she would have the right to speak now if she wanted to. I don't know why the Solicitor General didn't say, hey, Your Honor, I do believe that the complaining witness has something she wants to say, Your Honor. Miss such and such, if you want to say something, this is your time to say something, because as you can see, the judge has already asked the person, or he laid it out there. Is there someone else who wants to say something? So this is usually their opportunity to speak, right? But she didn't say anything. And, from the look on the Solicitor General's face, she's not inclined to, force a statement out of her. I think the look on her face is somewhat of defeat. It looks like the look of defeat. I think she's been out-lawyered here, and she's just ready to get on, to the next case. Because I believe she thinks she's been out-lawyered, and she has. She has been out-lawyered. So she's not going to force the issue. The judge has already, he's already made the call to see if anybody wants to say anything. The woman isn't saying anything, so they're just going to move on. So fair use, Negroes, fair use. We continue.
Okay, if not, for the battery,
Now you see that, right? You see that. Let's go back a half a second. You see the look on the Solicitor General's face? Look, you see right there? I don't know if y'all can see my pointer, but you see the look on her face. Let's back it up a second. And she's kind of grinning, kind of smiling. You can see the lady in the middle, in the bottom row is, I guess she's talking to somebody else that's in the room. But watch what happens here. If you blink your eyes, you'll miss it.
speak on this matter.
See that? When the judge is like, is there anyone else who wants to speak on this matter? She goes to almost say something. She goes to, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's the lawyer in her. She wanted to say something, but she kept her peace. I guess she looked at the screen and, she saw that, the woman was paying attention to something else. Maybe she was watching television or, talking to somebody else in the room. But I think she kind of looked over and saw that, the woman wasn't inclined to say anything, that was going to hurt the brother's case or hurt whether or not the brother got out or not. So she just kind of held it in.
Okay, if not, for the battery, it's going to be a $1,500 good bond. For the terroristic threats, a $500 good bond, making for a total of a $2,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Hapti. Stay away from the Parkland Drive address, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
He also should have said, man, stay away from this broad. Stay away from this broad. But I say again, I am surprised that this woman didn't say anything. She didn't say anything. I mean, usually, boy, they blurting out and the judge got to tell them to shut the hell up and up. She didn't say a word. Not a word. So, there is that. My advice to the brother, listen to his attorney, listen to the judge. Stay the hell away from this woman. Stay the hell away from this woman. Because obviously, this is a woman who will put the criminal justice system in your life. Now, I repeat, I don't know what happened that day, but she's the one who called the police. So she's the one who technically put the criminal justice system in this brother's life. Now, I'll say this. I mean, everybody you see come up before the judge is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Let me repeat. They are presumed innocent until the criminal justice system can prove they are guilty. Now, that being said, certain decisions that you make, certain things that you do, certain places you find yourself at, certain people you find yourself around, will cause you to have the criminal justice system in your life. Because like I said before, it's not like this is the end of it. The credits don't roll after this brother gets up. This is the beginning of a process. All right. And now he's got the stay away order for this woman, a woman that he's known 30 days. He's got a stay away order. Now, at any time, she can pick that order up and call the police and say he was there. And y'all know we've talked about this before, where these women have these stay away orders and will get on the phone and call a brother so he can come over there and fuck her, right? Um, there is the possibility of that. Now, I will say this just like I say all the time. You got these stay away orders. These women hold these pieces of paper, all right, that can get you locked up. You do your damnedest to keep at least 1,000 yards between her and yourself. I don't care what she looked like. I don't care how good that snatch is. I don't care what she tell you. Stay your ass away from her. Because all it's going to do is cause you more problems. Because the fact that she has this protective order against you itself is a problem. Once a woman has a protective order against you, guess what? That means you ought to never see this woman again ever. You ought to never talk to this woman ever. You ought never to find yourself in the same room, in the same store, in the same park, at the same party as this woman. That's what that means. And hopefully this brother understands that. So however many weeks, months, days, or years it takes for him to get out from under this, once he is out from under it, he can get these people out of his life. And the system doesn't have to play a management role in his life anymore.
Position 5, Lanier. Also have her mother in the gallery.
Okay. Now, right after this, right after the brother, we have this woman here. Now, let me set this up for y'all because this is another instance of the criminal justice system having to step in and manage someone's life. This woman is 30 years old. I believe she has 6 children, right? Well, y'all are going to hear the story. And what happened is the father of 3 of her children, right, I believe has custody of the children. She was able to win, I guess, a weekend visit, some type of visitation. She goes, she gets the kids, and she doesn't bring them back when she was supposed to. So now the police are involved. And she was arrested for, I believe, custodial interference, something like that, right? She took the kids. She was supposed to bring them back on a certain day at a certain time. She didn't do that, so the police got involved, and now her ass is arrested. But this is the thing. Y'all are going to hear that she has another child, right, that I believe is not the brother's child who has the custody of the other children. And then she has 2 more kids under that. So like I said, she has 6 children. She's 30 years old. I believe her oldest child is 12. So for the past 12 years, she just been dumping out baby after baby after baby after baby for Negro after Negro after Negro after Negro. The way the story appears is that she had this older kid, I guess when she met the brother, had 3 kids by him, and somehow he managed to get custody of those kids. But she also has 2 younger kids. She has a 2-year-old and a 9-month-old. So she had one, maybe she might have even married the dude. I don't know. But fair use, Negroes, fair use. Let's listen to this.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Lanier. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
You've been charged in case 22 CR 007499C with interference with custody. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Yes. fourth arrest, 2016 misdemeanor possession of marijuana. It was NOD 2016 suspended license, no low. And the 2014 battery, DV, battery, simple battery, DV, simple battery. Those were dismissed.
Okay.
All I got.
Ms.
Okay, so y'all heard that, right? Her record is relatively clean, right? She got caught with some chronic, driving with a suspended license, battery, they dismissed it. So her record is relatively clean for the most part, right? But she is a mother of 6, so the last thing she need to be doing is committing crimes. All right. But we continue.
Backus.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident took place on the 30th of October. Officers were requested to come to 2660 Links End regarding a custodial interference. Upon arrival, the officer spoke with Will Dawson and ascertained that the defendant was granted custody for the weekend of her 3 minor children, which they primarily stay with Will Dawson, who's the father. The defendant picked them up on Friday evening and per the court documents was supposed to return them by 6 p.m. on Sunday. After multiple hours of not hearing from the defendant, Mr. Dawson contacted the Roswell PD and provided them a copy of the temporary order outlining the visitation parameters. The defendant was supposed to be taking the children to her mother's residence at 109 Portland Place, and Mr. Dawson was able to make contact with the defendant's sister, who was at that location. And she said that the defendant had been there all weekend, but at around 2 p.m. had taken the children in her vehicle and said that she would be back later. The officer was able to make contact with the defendant via phone around 11 p.m. and advised her that she had to return home with the children, to which she responded with a defiant statement and hung up the phone. They then spoke with her again at a later time, and she said she wasn't around and hung up the phone. And that's what led to the interference with custody charge, Your Honor. The state is asking for a $3,000 surety bond and no violations of the custody orders that are already in place.
Now, no matter what it is, the state always want $3,000. No matter what the charge is, the bidding starts at $3,000 for some reason. I guess because if they start there, they know even if the judge goes a little lower, it's going to be like $1,500, $2,000, whatever. But no matter what the charge is, now, custodial interference is a relatively minor charge, especially when you're talking about your children. Nothing's probably going to happen with this. It's probably going to get dismissed. But I think what we're talking about here is bigger than the charge itself. When you have the system involved in your life, these are the things, unfortunately, that you have to contend with. Obviously, the system's already in her life because, she got a temporary, visitation for the weekend of her children that live primarily with their father and obviously fell out of those guidelines of that visitation. So the police had no problem picking her ass up. So the system has already been in her life. The system already has had to play a part in managing her life, right? I'm pretty sure, because it's been my experience that, men don't get custody of the kids just like that. Men usually have to go and sue and fight and prove, that this woman is a horrible old mama to get custody of their children. That's just the truth. So the system has already had to come into their lives and manage it to a degree. But here she is again, having her life managed by the system. This time, the criminal justice system. But we continue.
Nothing further.
Ms. Gant.
Thank you, Your Honor. Miss Kiona Lanier is 30 years old. She has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area for about 7 years. She is the proud mother of 3 sons, the minor
3 sons.
children who are the subject of this complaint. She also has a 2-year-old son and 2 daughters, ages 12 and 9 months.
A 2-year-old son, 2 daughters, one 12, one 9 months. Now, we don't know the ages, right? We don't know the ages of the other minor children, but we do know that they're minors, right? We do know that they're minors. And they're probably not teenagers, right? Because if they were teenagers, the Solicitor General would have mentioned it. So we are assuming that these children are probably under 12. So we know that she has a 12-year-old. We know that she has a 9-month-old. We know that she has a 2-year-old son, and she has 3 other sons, right? That are obviously older than 2, right? But younger than 12. And those 3 belong to this brother who called the police on her for not bringing them back when she was supposed to. Now, no one knows what the situation is with her 12-year-old, her 2-year-old, and her 9-month-old. But we do know that she has a 12-year-old. She's 30 now. She's been having kids ever since she was about 17, right? 17, 18. She's been pumping kids out for the past 12 years. We know that. She just had a baby 9 months ago, right? Had another one 2 years ago, right? So she don't waste no time with pumping them out. But because the system has to play a part in managing her life, that when she falls out of the guidelines of that management, this is where she ends up. All right? And see, that's the thing. Because the babies being at the father's house or in the father's custody, see, that is family court or civil court, if you will. But if you screw up and go against the family court, the civil court, now it becomes a criminal court matter, right? Because she's not in a family court right now. This is a criminal court. And I say again, this is what happens when the system has to manage your life. But we continue.
She completed high school. She also completed a trade. She was working as a medical technician. At this time, she is unemployed, but she is searching for employment. Your Honor, she strongly denies the allegations. She states that when she went to pick her children up on Friday, she found that the children were alone. She states that she called the police. She states that as a result of that phone call, DFACS became involved. Her son had been telling her, the 6-year-old had been telling her that
Okay, we know that one of them is 6, right? Like I said, I do believe that these 3 little boys that she kept longer than she was supposed to and didn't bring them back, I believe all of them are under the age of 12. But that's just me, kind of speculating. But we continue.
the father, Mr. Will Dawson, had been leaving the children home. Her son was crying, and she had some real concerns about the safety of her children. She states that on the day that she was scheduled to return the children, she had called out to the guardian ad litem to just get some guidance in terms of what she should do, and she did not hear from them. She did not want to return the children to the care of the father, considering her concern.
Now look in the top left-hand corner, right? Now, she's here accused of doing this, and she's not even looking at the screen. She's not looking at her lawyer. She's not looking at the judge. She's not looking at the solicitor general. She's looking at her damn feet. Even the people in the background, they're paying more attention to her case than she is. The people in the back are paying more attention to her case than she is. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just nitpicking, but you're sitting in lockup, handcuffed. You would think at the very least you would be paying attention, especially when it has something to do with your kids. But these old mamas, we continue.
That he had been leaving them alone. And of course, in light of this new open case, she states that she was able to speak to the guardian ad litem on Monday, who gave her some guidance. And at that time, the police pulled up. So we definitely deny any allegations. I believe that she was justified in acting to ensure that her children are safe. We did not hear about any prior offenses in her background. She certainly is presumed innocent. We did not hear about any significant history. Therefore, I am requesting a signature bond on Ms. Lanier's behalf, as she does not have the means to pay anything toward bond, Your Honor. Thank you.
Now, those of you who are not familiar with the signature bond thing, right? With a signature bond, basically what happens is, you sign your name and you walk out of there, no matter how much they said it is, whether it be 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, whatever. When the judge gives you a signature bond, you basically go through the jail or through like pretrial services. You sign your name and you promise to come back. And if you mess around and you don't come back to court, then it'll be, I guess, $3,000 or $4,000, if you get a warrant or failure to appear or something like that. Usually what happens with these cases is, depending if the charges are, if they're small enough, they usually give them a signature bond, especially if they don't have like a criminal history like that. Like this particular woman, her criminal history isn't, is relatively clean. So, of course, the judge is going to give her a signature bond. And all she got to do is continue to bring her ass to court, and she don't have to worry about anything. Now, if she screw up, she walk out of here, and then she don't come back to her next court date, guess what? She is going to have to pay, whatever the signature bond was, the price tag that's on the signature bond, she's going to have to pay that to get out, right? Now, this kind of stuff here, like I've been saying the whole time, her life is now going to have to be managed, right? Because here she sits. She's a mother of 6. I'm assuming the other 3 kids are with their father, but she's a mother of 6. So that means she has 3 more kids. So where are they? All right. The 2-year-old, the 9-month-old, and the 12-year-old. They got to be with somebody, right? I believe I heard earlier that her mother is in the gallery. So that's probably her mom sitting way back there, way in the far, in the top left corner here, way in the far, that's probably her mother. So where the babies at? Maybe, hopefully, they are with their fathers too. Because you got to think, right? This is the beginning of this process. The credits don't roll after she walk out of here, right? She may be going to court for weeks. For the next year, who knows? All right. So during that time, she's either dragging those babies to court or those babies got to be somewhere else. And, her life is going to be being managed by the criminal justice system, right? Her life is going to be managed by the criminal justice system. Because her life is managed by the family court system. And like I've been saying again, because her life had to be managed by the family court system, She went out of those guidelines. So now her life is going to be managed by the criminal court system. And hopefully she doesn't screw up, because all that means is more management. Because like I always say, if the father was able to get custody of those 3 children, she must have been a real screw up, because it ain't easy for a father to get his children. All right. He usually has to fight like hell, spend thousands of dollars, and the mother has to be a total screw up. So obviously she was a total screw up. That's how the brother ended up with the kids. So now he's got custody of his kids, and she has 3 other kids that she's quote unquote raising. But here she sits, right? I say again, she just had a baby 9 months ago, had a baby 2 years ago. And from the way it appears, she's got these 3 sons. They're between the ages of 2 and 12, right? We know that one is 6, right? So we can assume if he's the youngest, he's got 2 more brothers between the ages of 6 and 12. If he's the oldest, he's got 2 more brothers between the ages of 6 and 2, right? So, I mean, for the last 12 years, this woman has done nothing but had kids, right? She's had kids, and some of the kids she's had, obviously, she's a person who was so irresponsible that the kids ended up with their father. And even with that being the case, she still managed to get more system management in her life after that, because she didn't bring the kids back when she was supposed to. I mean, one thing is family court, man, civil court, right? You know, you're getting a divorce or custody of the kids, you know, that kind of thing. That's one thing, right? But once you do something that's outside of that family court management, now here comes the criminal court management. And it says a lot, man, about adults that just can't manage their own lives, to the point where the system has to come in. And I say again, I mean, family court is something else, you know, child custody and all this kind of stuff. You know, that's different. But once the criminal court has to come in and settle matters and parse matters out between family, between girlfriend and boyfriend, husband and wife, child and parent, I don't think that's the best of things. I don't think it sets the best of precedent, especially when children are involved. The credits don't roll when she walk out of here today. She'll be back and forth to court. Where those babies gonna be? Where they gonna be? If not with her, where they gonna be? I guess her mother will be burdened with them too, unless they're with their fathers, which I doubt. All because she can't manage her own life. Therefore, the system has to manage it for her. The system has to manage it. The system has been managing it, obviously. That's why the kids are with their father, right? But we continue.
Your Honor, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ms. Backus.
I would just say, in response to what PD Gant said, that that may very well have been a concern, but the proper way to handle that is that when the police officers are calling you, you relay that information to the police officers. hang up on the police and take it into your own hands and decide to keep the children as long as you want. So that's my response to that.
Yeah, you see that crap-eating grin that the Solicitor General has. I think this is get back from not being able to say something in the prior case. Because after I've watched quite a bit of this, and I've watched quite a bit of these court proceedings where this particular Solicitor General was prosecuting the cases, and she likes getting the last word. That's why I say I'm surprised she didn't say anything in the last one. She likes getting the last word. So she made sure she got the last word on this one. So I guess this makes up for her not getting the last word on the case before this. With her badass camera and badass green screen setup. The damn Solicitor General in Fulton County needs to step it up, man, because everybody's camera is better than theirs. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. With a bad green screen to boot. I don't know if it's the lighting or what, but this is how the Solicitor General's the camera always looks. I mean, even the PD, the public defender, in this one has a better camera than she does. I mean, she's filming in better quality. And this is the public defender. I mean, she may not even be in her office. She might be, I don't know, she might be streaming from her house or something. I don't even know. But everybody's camera looks better than the Solicitor General's. And it always does. But we continue.
And again, this is not about guilt or innocence, y'all. It's about
Agreed.
it's a bond hearing.
Okay, and DFAX is involved at Ms. Gant?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so I'm gonna let DFAX handle, since they are involved. I'm going to give her a $2,000 signature bond.
Of course, $2,000 signature bond. She'll walk out of here today.
Through pre-trial, and she's to follow any DFAX orders that are put in place.
Your Honor, there's already orders put in place. She couldn't follow them. She'll probably be back.
No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Okay, all right, I'm gonna let you out, Ms. Lanier, but you're gonna have to make sure that that you follow any orders that that DFAX has, okay?
Okay.
All right, good luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Now he says good luck to her. You should be saying good luck to the children. Why? Because they was born to one of these old mamas. Your Honor, you need to say good luck to those children. The three that are with their father, they are the fortunate ones. They'll probably be fine. But those other three, I don't know. Because it seems like to me she ain't in no hurry to stop having them. She got 2 infants now. She got 2 infants right now. They're only 13 months apart. 13 months apart. That's it. Oh, I tell you. Now, hopefully she gets her damn act together, which is probably not going to happen. I'll say this. You brothers out there who climbed on top of this woman, you other 3 brothers, y'all might want to follow the other brother's lead and get your damn kids away from this woman too. Just a suggestion. But anyway, I just want to share that with y'all, man. You know, this is just something I kind of slapped together. You know, this kind of, some of these things I've been doing, man, they're quick, they're easy to do, man. So I figured I'd come on, man, share them with the folks. Look forward to some more of these, man. Because like I said, man, I watch quite a bit of this stuff, man. And, you know, some of it is pretty, you know, rank and file, run of the mill. But a few of these things actually stick out, man, because you kind of get an insight, man, in certain people's lives. Some of the stuff is pretty mundane. It's pretty regular, but I mean, some of it, you know, just strikes me as odd because I don't believe the criminal justice system should be helping you manage your life, especially after the family court system is already managing your life. I mean, how much management do you need? You need management from family court. You need management from criminal court. I mean, and just like the brother, I mean, you get with some girl, man, and now you got the criminal justice system in your life. Something you got to deal with. Something you got to miss work for. Something you got to be away from your children for. Something you got to miss out on money for. The criminal justice system has a place, man, in this society. I just don't think that the criminal justice system should be involved in the management of grown-ass people's lives. But that's all. I appreciate everybody coming through, man. I appreciate y'all, you know, listening in on this, man. And as always, man, I will leave you with 3 words. You know, like I always do. Open your mind. Peace, folks. Only from T.P.O.T. Media. Open your minds.